Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
You know what? Y'all are worth driving 148 miles here this week.
Come on now.
I've been all over the country, about 24 different states, and there's just a handful of people.
Bless the Lord.
I say that whenever there's so much love in this church that when I'm down, I can be myself. And you all have prayed that I be lifted up. Got some devastating news this week. Where I died on the operating table in 1985, and God gave me back my life with the twins. I suffered cardiac arrest when my lungs filled up. That did damage to my heart, plus 2 of the light heart attacks and congestive heart failure. So a team of 3 doctors won't operate on my foot. They say that they're afraid I'll die on the operating table. And where my leg joins my foot, it's broken because of the chemo I took. And it's hanging. And they actually was afraid that it would break and they'd have to take my foot off. And so they say I'm going to be in this wheelchair, but I'm a person that has pushed on through 4 times of cancer and 2 heart attacks. All these things has happened in my life, but this has hit me hard because being down in a wheelchair for 5 months, you have to cook from a wheelchair, and I can't bear weight on this, maybe 2 or 3 steps a day.
Bless the Lord.
And I've always been used to doing my own cooking, my own cleaning, like my house a certain way, just all that stuff. And then your whole life changes. Don't take one day, one thing about you for granted. One thing about the people around you for granted.
Come on.
Because you don't know when it's going to change.
You're exactly right.
The magic touch. Okay. See, the devil don't want me to sing. Where's your little girl at? Get her to come up here and swipe it for me. Everything that I do is hard. But I didn't like to hear the fact that they could put me in what they call the special boot that I have to be fitted to. It adheres to your skin to hold the bones together. And then it's a boot all the way up to here, like this one, only it's a real actual boot. And that's what they call a walking boot. And I can take 3 or 4 steps, a little bit at a time. That means nothing. But, you know, it's very difficult when somebody tells you these things. So I've been down. Wanda got down, and I never get
Come
down.
on now.
Get a person like me that's always full of life, laughing and cutting up and carrying on, down, then it's kind of hard. So you have to have the people that love you and that believe and have seen miracles happen. You got to be around those kind of people instead of the negative people. I heard what they said, but I know that God can still do a creative miracle. He created everything in a week's time, and I'm believing for mine. What is hardest to understand is all I do is praise and worship God. I'm not out here doing anything that I shouldn't be doing. I'm at the house unless somebody takes me somewhere.
Come on.
I can drive, but I can't get out by myself without a wheelchair. But I just don't understand why it's so hard to serve and worship God when that's all you want to do. But God is good, and He's got a plan. I mean, He knows that I'm a winner either way, whether I go or whether I stay. And but right now, I've not done this song in a long time. And I appreciate Chris. Let me tell you about Chris. That's my young boyfriend.
Bless the Lord.
Now, Chris was my boy for 7 years in foster care. Had 107. Had him for almost 8 years. And I always wanted to adopt him, so I guess he's adopted me. had him and his sister. His sister's got some problems and told me and her family that Chris had been murdered, and I was devastated. But Chris is alive.
Amen.
He's now living with me, him and his wife, taking care of me. God gives back to you.
Yes,
Just
he
like
does.
the pastor said. Can we give God a hand?
Yeah. Glory to God.
Sheltered in the arms of God. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. That's it. How many of you know you're sheltered?
Yes.
I feel the touch of hands so kind and tender, leading me.
Yes.
That I must try. Listen to me, devil. I have no fear, for Jesus walks beside me. For I'm sheltered in the arms of God. So let storms rage high,
The dark worry me,
for I'm sheltered safe within the arms of God. He walks with me, and none of this earth shall harm me. For I'm sheltered in the arms of my God. Listen to this. Soon I shall hear the call from heaven's portal. Come on home, my child. It's the last mile you must try. I fall asleep, then I wake in God's new heaven, sheltered safe within the arms of my God. So let the storms rage high, the dark clouds rise. They don't worry me, for I'm sheltered safe within the arms of God. He walks with me, and naught of this earth shall harm me. For I'm sheltered in the arms of my God. Yes, I'm sheltered in the arms of God. The greatest therapy for me
Come on,
is
sis.
doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
Because the devil told me, says, you can't go minister to nobody. You can't even minister to yourself. The lying devil, he might as well stop. I serve notice on him. I don't have to listen to his lies. I'm bound for a season. Whew, glory to God.
Amen.
God's in this room. If you can't handle him, get out of the kitchen. Because he's here. He's cooking up some stuff. God is doing some stuff. Who I am too, sissy. Whew, hallelujah. I even hit them high notes sitting down. People said, well, how do you sit down and sing? I said, I'll lay down and sing for my Lord if I have to.
Yeah.
I said, if he's got something for you to do, he'll help you to do it. Right?
That's right.
Hallelujah. Go ahead, Big Dog. There's two different ones. This one says I'm bound for the city. Another one does too, but it's two different songs. It might be confusing on you. Just have to play it and see. Starts with I'm bound. If that ain't Jesus, I'm not answering it. Got to turn the thing down. I'd like for you to remember my daughter and my son-in-law in your prayers. You know what? You're not immune. Just because you're a doctor, or you're a nurse,
That's right.
or you're a gospel singer, or you're a preacher, you're not immune to sickness and disease.
That's right.
Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but he's able to deliver us out of all of these things. My son-in-law had prostate cancer 3 years ago. He was doing really good. Then all of a sudden he got where he couldn't hardly walk with his hip. And he went to have a PET scan done, and cancer's back in 5 different places in his body. It's in his lungs, his bones, his liver, soft tissue of his hip,
Bless him, Lord.
and somewhere else. But 5 places. They started him on chemo, didn't even tell him. They told me how many I was going to have. But what's such a shame of it is the chemo, strong stuff, caused this to happen to my foot.
Yep.
Caused the joints to bend and break my foot in multiple places and make it just deteriorate. They can't even put bone. If they could operate, they couldn't put screws and stuff in it because it wouldn't hold. They were going to bond it if they decided that I could do the surgery. So remember him and remember my daughter.
Yeah.
You can have so many things happen to you that you get overwhelmed. I wish that I could be there to help them. But I did tell you what I did do that was the biggest help ever was. It was kind of funny. I felt led to make a pot of vegetable beef stew, and with the kids' help, and Shoney's strawberry pie, homemade.
Amen.
And my son-in-law, the next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, he said, boy, that pie hit the spot. And I asked my daughter that afternoon, I said, did you enjoy the pie? She said, 1 piece, eat the whole thing. But it was good, because I remember a point in my life that I couldn't eat it all.
Yes.
And you better enjoy your life when you can. And the little small things too. Did you find it, sweetie? For a city beyond compare, I'm bound for a city, and I must go there, where there's no sorrow, no more night. Bound for a city where the Lamb is alive. I saw that city coming down.
Yeah.
And it's called the New Jerusalem. The walls of jasper,
Yeah.
and the streets of gold.
Streets of gold.
But the half has never yet been told. I'm bound for a city beyond compare. I'm bound for a city, and I must go there, where there's no sorrow, no more Well, it gets rough. I won't turn back. No, I can't give up. I want to see my loved ones who've gone on before. And there we will live and reign forevermore.
Yeah.
I'm bound for a city beyond compare. I'm bound for a city, and I must go there, where there's no sorrow, no more night. Bound for a city where the Lamb is the light. Sing this last chorus. I'm bound for a city beyond compare. I'm bound for a city, and I must go there, where there's no sorrow, no more night. Bound for a city where the Lamb is the light. I'm bound for a city where the Lamb is the light. Hallelujah. Praise His name. Ooh, glory to God.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus. You know, I've been seeing so many wonderful things happen for the Lord, even though I've been down. It just seems like
Come on, sis.
I went to this church and there was a lady, preacher, and I couldn't stand up and lay hands on her, but I asked her to come to me. And I'm telling you, sis, she was out that floor for 45 minutes before the Lord would let her up.
Hallelujah.
And when she got up, she's been on fire ever since. On fire for the Lord. But I want to try. I ain't done this in so long, so if I mess up, y'all just
Bless her,
overlook
Lord.
it. It says,
Bless her,
Lord,
Jesus.
send me a refuge. Look at that person next to them. Tell them how good looking they are. You're good looking, honey. Now look at the person to your right and tell them you'll do, but you need some help. Here in this battle, a wounded soldier am I. The enemy's raging, and he's crowded my mind. Lord, I'm calling out to you, for you know what I need. While I'm facing this battle, oh Lord, send a refuge.
Yeah.
Lord, send me a refuge to hide from the storm. Wrap me in your sweet love, keep me safe from all. When the trials of this old world send me down to my knees, won't you hear my prayers? Oh Lord, send a refuge for me. You're alone in this darkness, not a light do I see. I need a message from you, Lord, to know you're still here with me. Lord, I'm trying with all my strength not to drown in this sea. So while I'm facing this task, Lord, all that I ask, send a refuge for me. Lord, send me a refuge to hide from the storm. whole world set me down on my knees. Won't you hear my prayers? Oh Lord, send a refuge for me. Won't you hear my prayer? Oh Lord, send a refuge for me. Thank you, Father God. You know what I done yesterday? I went and I've got about 15 different books of music. And I just put some in there that I hadn't sang in a long time. So I'm telling you,
Bless you, Lord.
I love going back like a kid with a new toy, singing something I hadn't sang in a long time. This song, I've sung it here many times. It's talking about how I made it. If I don't make it back to Cookeville, Tennessee tonight, let me tell you how, when I do go home tonight, I'll tell you how I made it. I made it by God's amazing grace. God is so good, isn't He?
He is.
You have a special call on your life, son. I can see it. And God's not giving you a spirit of fear, but power and love and a sound mind. One day you'll do exactly what God has given you to do. There was no accident that you were sat right in front of me where I could look you eye to eye. This old gal, I've had money. I've got less now than I've ever had in my life. I used to sing country music.
Come on.
But I've got everything. I might be trapped in this wheelchair, but I've got everything. I've got peace of mind and knowing I can lay down at night, know where I can wake up, and there's going to be a bunch of people waiting at the gate for me. I know that. But I feel something inside of you. I feel that. God has given it to me, and I didn't think I could even minister to nobody today. But I'm telling you, you better open your ears and listen. In order for me to get out of country music, I had a death experience that took my twin daughter. I almost took my little boy. And I was pronounced dead for over 9 minutes because I wouldn't listen to God. I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to make the money. Well, He allowed me to make the money, and He allowed it to be took away.
Yep.
He sure did. But whatever, God didn't tell me what it was. He just told me that I need to tell you, to remind you to not forget what He's given you to do. And even sometimes God has sent counterfeit people by your way. One of them came here the last time, and I thought, Lord, that was going to be the love of my life.
Come on.
Being in a wheelchair, he would come to see me, and he was constantly going outside saying that it was hot in the house. Told me he quit drinking 10 years ago, and he was a devout Christian just to get me. I've got a set of 7-year-old twins, a little girl and a little boy that God gave back to me when my life was in obedience. It didn't replace the little girl that's in heaven, but God honored me and gave me this set of twins. The little girl found vodka in her toy chest, and she brought it to her daddy and said, Daddy, what is this? Because they don't see it around their house. Thank God she didn't drink it. And then he got to searching, and in the gas grill was 2 or 3 more bottles. My family never gets involved in my life, but everything about us was lies. Everything about him was lies.
Mm-hmm.
So my son, when his little girl found that, he said, don't you think my mom's going through enough? I said, you lied to her. It said she don't want a life like this, and I don't want a life like this for her. Because if you're not equally yoked together, you ain't gonna make it. Now, I'm drinking from a different fountain.
Come on.
You know, but listen to the words of I made it by grace. And then if this Catholic, I have to tell you something funny, you know me. This Catholic called me up. and he wanted to get with me. I said, honey, let me tell you something. I pray to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I believe in God. I'm not going to pray to no priest over my sins when half of them is molesting little children anyway.
Yes, they are.
And I said, I'm not going to drink out of the same cup that all them others that think it's okay to drink out of when they have communion. And I went on and on and on. He said, I think that's enough. I said, well, does that answer your question? No, I won't go out with you. And I said, I'm as good as Mary is. She was just the chosen one to carry Jesus. She ain't no different to pray for her, to her, you know.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd throw that in for good measure. So that I made it by grace.
Amen.
I live each day in victory because of the one who lives in me. I found every promise he ever made. Sing it, brother. Jesus will keep. He walked by my side in deserts dry, loved me and held me when I cried. So let me sing you one more song, in case that I leave. But I know how I made it. I made it by God's amazing grace. Steps that are slower now have taken, each one by faith. Standing on Jordan's stormy shore, I'll lift my trembling voice once more. I know how I made it. I made it by God's amazing grace. God's children, they're leaving one by one, passing this way and going home. Signs of the times reveal that church we don't have very long. But each one who stands upon this shore, waving goodbye as they rejoice. Glory to God, we'll leave here singing that same sweet song. Now let's sing it. I know how I made it. I made it by God's amazing grace. Steps that are slower now have taken, each one by faith. Standing on Jordan's stormy shore, I lift my trembling voice once more. I know how I made it. I made it by God's amazing grace. Are you glad you sang?
Yeah.
I'm going to sing you a few more. You going to preach, little brother? I knowed you was, because I could feel it. But I'm going to do you a couple more songs, and then I'm going to sit down. But where was that? There's a song here that's on my heart. It's talking about thread of hope. If anybody should have faith, I should have. When I look back and I see all that he's done, and I've still got faith. Though sometimes it may be battle scarred. Sometimes you hold on to a frail and fragile faith. But you have to be determined. I'm going to push on past that and grab a hold of all what it takes. It's not your need that moves God. It is your faith. And if you're around anybody that has doubt and unbelief, it's going to paralyze your faith. So, sister, there was 160 people prayed for my little grandson the other day. I will put on something about somebody else. But I know so many people that my phone would ring off the wall constantly. And I got to watch who prays for me. You'd say, huh, no, they have to have no doubt and unbelief that God will move for me. So I've not put this on Facebook. When I'm in the churches, and I don't care if you do, brother, but as far as my own personal post, I'm not going to do it because I just don't want no doubt and unbelief. I want a miracle. I expect a miracle. I believe in God for a miracle. I want to stand for my Lord one more time. You know, so what's your excuse?
Come on.
What's your excuse? Boy, what I'd love to do, even where I had the cancer in my shoulder, I had not, it's hard to fix me anything to eat. And I had not eaten all day, and by that night, I passed out just before I got me a electric wheelchair in my house. And I fell in a regular desk chair trying to get around in that, a small chair, on my arm, and I injured my arm. I'm believing for healing for that too. Re-injured it because it already had cancer in it. So I have to take this hand, holding this mic's about all I can do. I have to take this hand and move it. But I'm telling you, if God has to do an overhaul, a creative miracle all over my body, I am not leaving without that healing. That's why God sent me here. And I said, Lord, if you really, really want me to go there, let them not have nothing going and let me come. Because I had every intention, Chris can tell you, of not booking nothing. I really wanted to throw in the towel, and God said he'd throw it back at me. So, that was Thursday that happened. I said, I can't do it. I wouldn't. See, you can get past. You got to push. PUSH stands for pray until something happens. You've got to keep pushing no matter what's told to you. You got to keep pushing when God's giving you something to do. You may think, well, I've got this one job, I can't do this other. Well, if God's give you a dozen jobs, do it. Because when you do it, you're going to touch lives.
Come on.
And it's not been but about a month ago, we seen Chris's wife saved. They came out of a not so good situation. But if they're going to be at my house, they're going to hear about God. And they start their fussing and fighting. I said, you need to pray about it. She even sent him a text the other day that they need to pray about it, about things. And that's all. It works when nothing else does. But I just want to tell you that I'm thankful that you opened the door for me to come today. Such as I have.
Yes.
He knows it. Listen to this. If you're going through something here today, and maybe you feel like it's too big for God. I know nothing's too big for God. Because they done covered me up and left me. In 1985, they brought me that high up off that operating room table. They unstrapped the table. They covered me up. And they went to tell them that my baby girl didn't make it, but Brandon had swallowed meconium fluid. And he was having health problems. But there was no way for me. There was Church of God people with their hands on that operating room door. Still praying when they pronounced me dead.
Amen.
Now, tell me there's not no hope. It may not look good, but there's hope. Even if you're hanging to a frail and fragile faith, there's always hope in Christ Jesus. That's when the doctor went out of the room and he said, why couldn't I do something? He was a Christian doctor. He said that her kids needed her. And he said, I walked away and I shook my head. And he sent an order for them to send me to the morgue They was going to tag my toe. I was identified at Calvary.
Amen.
They didn't have to tag my toe to where they know who I was. Well, when I surrendered to get out of country music and do what God had given me to do, God breathed new breath into my lungs, gave me a new heart and a mind of Christ. And they sent a little cleaning lady in to clean around my bed. And about 4 to 6 foot above my body, in that big, tall operating room, I could see that I was covered up, but somehow or another I knew that that was me. I knew that I looked the same. And don't ask me how, because I don't know. But I knew that it was my spirit. And suddenly, I was back into that body.
Yes.
After that death experience. My ears were open where I could hear good, and my eyes that I could see His perfect will for my life. And this cleaning ladies began to mop around the bed, and the only way I could let them know I was alive was to move. And He set my hands free when He unstrapped me from the table, and she saw my right hand move. And I heard her say, and it seemed like her voice was so loud, "That's just a reflex. They haven't embalmed her yet." Well, I moved again, and that's when she said, "Stat, get in here." She didn't get on no phone. Those doctors was out there telling my family it was over. And so when they busted through the room, the doctor that wasn't a Christian, he had taken my vital signs. And he said to the doctor that was a Christian, he said, "Where did the fluid go that filled her lungs? She had aspirated. She had died at 5:34 p.m. Well, the great physician was right
That's
there.
right.
He was standing right there, my specialist. And he breathed back new life into me and made me whole. And I know today, as I'm telling you this, because y'all, most of you have heard my story, I'm reminding myself that if He could give me life when I'd been given up, and when I almost wanted to give up on Him, and I'm not going to give up. No matter what, I'm going to stand. And one day, I believe the next day, I'll be able to stand and sing for my Lord the next time I come.
Go on, sis.
He can put together back them bones. Amen. Thread of hope. I'm going to do this one and one more. Ooh, glory. I'll do jumping jacks, son. Just let me have a foot back. I want to do this also for George. I love you, George, and I know you've been going through it too.
Amen. Thank you, sis.
A woman needed healing of a dreaded disease. Her money bought physicians, but only Jesus could bring relief. Though her last thread of hope was worn to a strand, her heart held on to faith till she could touch Him with her hand. Hanging by a thread, still you can climb life's mountains. Though the cliffs are rough and jagged, you can cross. If you should slip and lose rope sin, you'll find the hem of His garment. Don't let go of that last thread of hope. He looks at you hanging onto a frayed and fragile faith. Are you clinging to the rocks above the canyon of dismay. Reach out for the lifeline, it will never break in two. Hold fast, don't lose faith. Once again, God will pull you through. When you're hanging by a thread, still you can climb life's mountain. Though the cliffs are rough and jagged, you can cross. If you should slip and reach rough sea, you'll find the heel of his garment. Don't let go of that last thread of hope. If you should slip and reach rough sea, you'll find the heel of his garment. Don't let go of that last thread of hope. Don't let go.
Amen.
I want you to do this song with me. You've done it with me many times. It's talking about nothing but the blood, and I'm finished. Anxious to hear the word. Are y'all glad to hear the word?
Yeah.
We're going to eat for a little while at the Lord's table. When it gets to the part that says nothing but the blood, sing it with me. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Wanda Key, Keys for Christ Ministry from Cookeville, Tennessee. I have the key, and his name is Jesus Christ.
Yes.
You going to sing, Chris? I taught him how to sing when he was 9 years old, and I can't hardly get him to sing no more. That's why the water's stopping, right? Bring her up. What can wash away my sin? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Oh, precious is thy flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. For my pardon, this I see. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. For my cleansing, this I plead. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Oh, precious is thy flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. This is all my hope and peace. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. This is all my righteousness. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Oh, precious is thy flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. 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 That beautiful voice you heard on there was my good friend that passed away last year. 50 87 years old. She was a great singer and a musician. But her music goes on.
Amen.
Thank you for having me. I love all of you.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. Let's give Wanda a key. Hand clap. And let's give God a hand clap. Amen. You know, when God calls you to do something, He equips the call. Amen. And I'm so thankful for that. Amen. And, you know, Sister Wanda's faithful in coming and being a blessing. Amen. To us. Amen. Every time she gets this way, I'm so thankful that she thinks of us. Amen.
Amen.
And, so, you know, today we want to take up a love offering and support her.